so I'm going to try to take you from the beginning, just so hopefully it kind of makes sense. So I went ahead and labeled these for you. So your one on the left is your main drain, right is going to be your skimmer, and then you got your return and you got your slide. Okay. So if the handle is running in line with the pipe, it's open. Okay. So right now we got our skimmers open, our main drain is closed. So water is flowing from the pool. You've got your skimmer line, and then the main drain was the two white ones at the bottom. Okay. That water's flowing from the pool to the pump, up through your filter, and then out through your filter. You got a salt system, so it's running through that salt cell, and then it's running back. Right now we've got all the water running through our returns. But if you wanted to run your slide, then you just open up your other line there. Okay. So that's the way that the plumbing works. As far as the filter settings are, it's fairly simple. 99% of the time you're just going to use filter. Okay, and all that means is as the water comes through, it's being filtered through the sand before it makes its way back to the pool. Okay. Winterize would be if you guys decide to close down the pool for the winter, you'd want to set it to winterize. Waste means that basically your water is going to run out your waste line. Okay. And you would use that if the pool is really dirty, you have a storm, another hurricane comes through, and you wanted to be able to pump some water out, you just run it out your waistline. Okay. Closed, you're probably never going to use this, but basically it just closes off this valve. We use it on above ground pools a lot just because the water level is higher than the pump. Otherwise, when you open up the basket, all the water comes rushing in on you, so you're able to close it off. But for you guys, because this is setting higher than the pool, you'll never use it probably. Backwash is the setting you're going to use to clean the filter. So really the best way to do it, because every pool's a little bit different, is just keep an eye on your pressure gauge. So whatever your starting pressure is when the filter is clean. So let's say we backwash and we rinse it today, and whatever it's running on high speed, let's say it's 10 psi or 12 psi, that's going to be our starting point. Okay. Once you add another 10, then it's time to clean. Okay. It might be once a month, it might be once a week, it might be once every 6 months. I don't know. Just keep up with your gauge. So it's important to make sure that your gauge is working. So a lot of times these things, they don't last forever. They're only like $5. So they're going to last, probably a season, and the next year you're going to have to probably put a new one on it.
So in the winter, do you recommend us turning it off?
Just letting the pool run.
It's really up to you guys. I'd say it
hasn't really impacted like the electric bill or anything too bad, so I figured it would just be better for the water to keep.
It's probably a 50-50. I'd say probably half the pools that we build, people close them down, and the other half leave them open. It's really preference. A lot of people want to just close them down and put a cover on them, especially if you had a lot of trees that you didn't want to have to worry about a bunch of leaves in the pool. My pool I always kept open through the winter. I just let it run because I had a variable speed like you guys have. So you don't really see much difference in your electric bill.
It hasn't changed a whole lot.
So if you guys wanted to do that, I think it's perfectly fine. You just got to make sure that if you decide that you're going to keep it open through the winter, what I would suggest is that we run the pump 24 hours a day. And then you're going to want to make sure that all 4 of these lines stay open. So you always want to have water moving, because if we close this slide line off and it gets down to 10 degrees, then right here from, this will be good, but from here to here, it's going to freeze and it's going to crack that. So you're going to have to, if you decide to leave it open, then you're going to have to leave the whole thing open. Okay.
But we could variably set it to where it's not like pumping like it would if we were using the slide. We could just have like a slow trickle. Okay.
Yeah, you could do that. So so you could play with the valves. As long as you got water flowing, you'll be okay. You just want to make sure that you don't close it off so that the water stops and then it freezes on you. Okay. So I think we hit backwash, right? So backwash, like I said, just watch your filter, your pressure gauge, and then you're gonna backwash for approximately 2 minutes till the water comes out clear, and then after you backwash, you're gonna rinse for about 30 seconds. And basically, what that does is just kind of rinses out the system before you send all that dirty water back to the pool. Okay.
Now are we gonna do that today? So
yeah, we'll do that today. I'll show you how to do it. And then we got recirculate, which basically just means that you're circulating water. Okay. You're not actually filtering it. It's basically just coming in and going straight back out. And the reason you would do that would be if you needed to add a lot of chemicals to the pool. Let's say you need to add, 50 pounds of calcium or
like we're doing
something.
today.
So, instead of worrying about the the chemical getting trapped into the filter system and clogging up the filter. Basically, you just circulate water for a couple hours, just give it a chance to kind of dissolve in the water. And really, that's all the settings for that. I'll show you how to program the pump. So it's a pretty easy system. So you've got a display button here. All you gotta do is hold down the button. So it flashes. You can either do 12-hour time or you can do military time, whatever you prefer. What is it about? Is it 9:28?
I think so.
So
9:28.
all you gotta do is hit your plus or your minus. Alright, so our time is set. You actually have 3 timers on here. What I usually just use 1 timer, but you guys can do whatever you want to do. So the way that it works is I've got it set on 1700 RPMs. You can adjust it by just going up or down. It's starting at 8 a.m. and I've got it running for 24 hours. Okay. You can change it if you want. You could probably get away with 8 or 12 hours during the summer. The manufacturers actually recommend that the best thing to do for these pumps is to just cut them on and just let them run on a low speed. But you can change it if you want. The way that the timers works is timer 1 is always going to come on first. So sometimes people do multiple timers. So let's say, for example, you were going to run a 2-hour cycle that you wanted to run a cleaner or something like that in the morning. You could set it up to run on high speed for 2 hours, and then timer 2 would kick in, say, a low speed or whatever. So you can, but the way it's going to work is they're going to work consecutively. So timer 1 is going to come on, and then when timer 2, you know, once timer 1 goes off, timer 2 is going to come on, and then 3, and then it'll go back to 1. So if you wanted to, so sometimes people will want to do like, I'm going to run the pool 8 hours in the morning, and then I'm going to leave it off for 8 hours, and then I wanted it to come on for another so long. So the way you would have to do it, you'd have to trick the system. So you'd have timer 1 on whatever speed you wanted, and then timer 2 you'd have to set it 0 RPM so that it doesn't run. And then you could set timer 3 back on. So it's there if you want to use it. I just pretty much simplify things and I just run 1 timer, but
whatever's
it's there if
more
you want.
simplistic to manage. That pool.
Yeah,
works for me. I'm not really.
Yeah, I like running just the 1 timer for 24 hours a day, and the reason that I do that is because I run my pool during the winter, and for me, then you're not having to worry about, oh, did I remember to go cut on the pump or you know, whatever. Exactly. So I just leave mine on and then it just runs. So that way, unless you have a power outage or something like that, you know, otherwise you'll be good. The only other button that you really have on here is the quick clean button, and that's what you're going to use if you needed to vacuum. So basically what it's going to do, let's say we've got this set at 1700 RPMs. This one's going to be set on a high speed. So if you wanted to vacuum the pool, or let's say for you guys with your slide, you may just say, all right, while the kids are out here playing on the slide, then you just come over here and hit the quick clean button, and it'll run on high speed for 2 hours. So while the kids are playing in the pool, you can just speed up the pump so that you get more water flow coming down the slide, and then it'll automatically go back to the other setting. So that is that.
Now, is there supposed to be water flowing into this, or?
Yeah, I mean, really, in a perfect world, you don't really see the water moving because you wanted to have a full head of water. So if it's like when I got here, it was you could see the water.
Yeah.
A lot of that was because that valve was closed. But
gotcha. So when I dumped that
the
valve, it was the right.
Yeah.
Because that thing was full, and then it sucked all that water back out.
That's okay. So really, you want it to look just like it looks right now. So you can see that there's water in there because I can see a bug or something moving around in there. But if it starts to get to where it's not pulling a full head of water and you can see the water kind of moving through there, then it's probably time to clean the filter. It probably means that it's dirty. Okay. But most of the time it should look like there's no water, but it's because it's full.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then as far as your you've got an outlet here. It's on a ground fault, so just like a bathroom or kitchen. If the reset's kicked out, it's not going to work. So you've got just a quick disconnect here for the pump. So if this switch is off, the pump's not going to be on. Okay, so you gotta make sure that stays on. Same thing with your light. He's got a switch here, so if you've got a remote for this, right?
Yeah.
So if this is off, your remote's not gonna work. Okay. Same thing's gonna hold true for if this outlet is tripped. This is probably tied in on the same circuit. So if you can't get the light to work and the switch is on, you need to check your reset.
Okay.
If your reset is good, then you probably need to check your breaker.
Okay.
Just like anything in the house.
Now
Right.
cleaning the filter, how do we do that? Just
For the backwash, or are you talking about for here?
for that thing.
So this you just open up.
We just
So
take it open and just dump it?
Yeah, and we'll do that here in a second. The only other thing you have is you have your just power center for your salt cell. That's just where it's getting power to the salt cell. The only thing that you really need to know about that is I think it has a fuse inside. So if for some reason this thing stops working, check your fuse. It may just have a blown fuse.
Okay.
As far as cleaning the basket out, it's pretty easy.
Just like a regular pool one.
Yeah, just open it up, take it out. Just want to make sure that you line up the notch so the opening goes where the pipe is. Now, it'll probably start up fine, but let's say that we went to start it up and it's not pulling water. You may have to fill the basket back up with water to get it to prime up. Okay. It's probably going to work fine, but if it doesn't, then that would be the trick. So, show you how to backwash and rinse.
And how often should you do this?
Just keep an eye on the pressure.
The
gauge.
pressure.
Yeah. It might be once a month. It might be longer. You guys don't have trees. Once you get the yard straightened out with whatever you're gonna do, your mulch or your rock or whatever, and get some grass down, you won't have as much dirt in the pool. So.
Right.
Alright, so we're gonna flip it to backwash. So anytime you move the valve, you want to make sure that you cut off the pump. You don't want to have it running when you try to move it, so make sure you stop the pump and then move it to backwash. I usually do everything clockwise. I don't know if it's an old wives' tale or not, but everybody says not to do counterclockwise, so I just always have done the clockwise. There we go, start it up. I just hit the start button. So you can see it's coming out pretty dirty right now. So once it starts probably within a minute or two. Yeah, and you also have your glass there, the sight glass. Yeah, so if you decided to run the hose off in the front yard, you could have just make sure we stop it. And we're gonna rinse it. Maybe 30 seconds. back on filter. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to adjust this, but you're probably going to just want to watch when you get your water tested. So
We just got it tested.
So what you're going to want to do is, really there's only the 2 buttons on here. So the more and the less, so you can make more chlorine or less chlorine. Okay, I'm going to lower it down. I'm going to lower it down to 20%, but what you'll want to do is as you check your water, if you don't have enough chlorine in there, then you can adjust it back up. Being that you have a fiberglass pool, it's not going to take a ton of chlorine, so we'll start there. And then, so you can see, so right here at the top, or what would be the bottom here, this is going to be your salt level. So if it's green, that means you're good, you got enough salt in the water. If it's red, it means that there's not enough salt.
Okay.
If it's flashing green, that means that there's too much salt. Okay. The cell light just means that if we have the right amount of flow and we have the right amount of salt in the water, then it should be working. So you should have a green light on the cell, just letting us know that it's making chlorine for the pool. And then the other one would be our flow. So it's just sensing that we have enough water flowing through the system in order to make it work.